There's absolutely no way you can fuck up giant robots versus giant kaiju in a sequel to a movie that actually had a cult following, right? There's no way you can fuck that up, right? You would be wrong. Pacific Rim Uprising review coming up next. What's up everyone, Chris here from MTR Network, and I'm back for another movie review. This time an actual review, because the last one I said was a review and it wasn't, it was a rant. I'm recording this early on Wednesday morning. I was told by the weathermen and weatherwomen that they would be getting 8 to 12 inches of snow here in this DMV area, and there's nothing outside. So I actually might be trying to go to work, so I'm trying to record this real quick before I go to work and put this up there. But yeah, I'm here to review Pacific Rim Uprising, the sequel to, when did that film come out? I guess it was 2013, I'm gonna say. I probably got that wrong. But you guys know what this is. This one is starring John Boyega. It has Scott Eastwood, and honestly, Charlie Day. Look, here's the thing. None of those other people matter. I'll just put it bluntly. This film was a letdown. It could have been better. They could have built on, and I'm not sure about this. Let me check, because I don't know what the budget on the first film was, and I want to know what the budget on the second film was. I completely was supposed to check this out before I did this review, so you guys are going to have to bear with me. Let's see. Uprising has a budget of $150 million. So let's see what the first one had $190 million. So it actually has less money than the first film, about $40 million, which I think is about right. I mean, you can do these films for about $140, so it's not that bad. So let me back up. Let's go through the stuff that does work for this film. There are a couple things that do work for this film. The first one is obviously John Boyega. John Boyega is someone who, honestly, for some reason, I feel like doesn't get enough work in Hollywood, even though he's really good. Like, I've been watching him since Attack the Block, and he's a really, really talented young black actor who really should be in a lot more things. He is, besides the other one thing in this film, he is the only reason to watch this film. Every scene with him is good. He makes other people who can't act, Scott Eastwood, he makes them better. And so I really think that he should be in more films. He's charismatic. He draws you to the scene. John Boyega does everything possible to try to make this film good, to the point that I actually do think a lot of general audiences and a lot of my friends will actually watch this film and like it more than the first film, just because John Boyega can act, and Charlie Hunnam also cannot act. He cannot. He is Jax Teller and everything. He's Jax King Arthur. He's Jax the Jaeger driver. It's like he is just Jax. He's Jax for everything. And he has like one mode. It's just not good. I mean, I remember at one point he was in talks to do 50 Shades of Grey, and that is not a good series, but I can only imagine how more terrible those films would be with him in it. But anyway, John Boyega is great in this film. He makes everything great. He just, that's him. Like, everything else I'm about to say about this film does not involve John Boyega. He should be insulated and protected at all costs, because he is a fucking national treasure. Even if he's not from America. The second thing that this film does really well is, so the problem with the first film, if you will, which got good reviews and people for the most part liked it, was that you couldn't really see the action. So a lot of the action was dark. You couldn't see the Jaegers. You couldn't see the fights between the Jaegers and the Kaiju. They fixed that. You get a lot more action in this film. You get a lot more of the Jaegers, and you can see it. Like, most of it is not like shot in the dark in the rain like the first film was. That's why I was kind of confused. I thought maybe this film actually had bigger budget than the last film, and it doesn't. The action is shot better. Those two things are literally the only two good things in the film. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, shit, Chris, that sounds like a film I would want to watch. And normally I would be the same way as well, except the story is so convoluted and bad, and the rest of the actors are so worthless and pointless and bad, that it becomes just a drag to watch this film. Like, it is just like I was checking my after 30 minutes. I was checking my watch, going, when are we gonna let's pick this up? Like, I have never seen a film that has so much story that doesn't tell a story in my life. They go through like 3 to 4, maybe 5 different plots. Like, I was leaving the theater with Phenom, and we'll do our audio review on the Movie Trailer Reviews podcast tomorrow. And he was like, "Yo, this is like Pacific Rim, like Power Rangers. It's got a little bit of Independence Day in it, Transformers. Like, it's got all these different pieces from all these different films thrown into one. It's like they." So say what you want about the first film. The story was simplistic, but it was a simplistic story that worked. I think so many films, when they have a film that could have been a hit but didn't really get as far as they thought it was going to get, I think that when they do this sequel for it, I think this is where people's wariness over sequels comes in at. They decide to overcompensate with the thing that was missing. So missing with the first film was more of the fights. So we wanted more of the fights, more of the kaiju. So this film said, okay, cool, we need more of the kaiju, more of the fights. So let's just forget all about the writing, let's forget all about the story, and let's just focus on that. And well, that might be good for like a Netflix film where you can just sit there and watch it on Netflix in the background, don't really give a shit. If you're paying money for this, you could be a little disappointed because it's just all over the fucking place. Like, the first film, simplistically, when you break it down, is you're dealing with one character is trying to prove herself and prove that she can be a pilot. You got another one that's trying to get back into the saddle after being a pilot, but then losing his brother and losing that connection. That whole film is really about the drift. Like, that's what the film is. Making that connection, making that emotional connection, making sure that the two pilots are working together and are synced together. This film pretty much says, fuck that shit. That's not the important piece. And it's the heart and soul of the first film. And so they kind of rush through that. So, what was her name? Her name is Cailee Spaeny. She plays Amara. And she's picked up by the pilot program because she's creating her own rogue Jaeger. Like, this is the whole thing now. It's 10 years after the first film. People are creating rogue Jaegers. John Boyega's character, Jake, is the son of Idris Elba's character. He used to be a ranger in the Jaeger program, and then he got out because he felt like he wasn't living up to his father and things like that. These two meet. They end up going to getting in prison. Their way out is Jake comes back to being a ranger, and she comes into the pilot program with a bunch of other young cadets. The problem is they have all these young cadets, and outside of Amara, none of them matter. You never get this moment like you did in the first film where you don't really know those other teams or other nations' teams. You had one from China, one from Russia, but they each had their own distinctive style. Like, you had, I think with the China one, their Jaeger had it was three twins because they could all drift together, and they operated that one Jaeger as a 3-man team, and it was supposed to be very difficult to do that. Well, there's a three-person Jaeger in this film, and at one point, you get 3 of the cadets working together to put it to operate it, but you never really saw those cadets working together. Like, there was never a moment where they were like, "Oh, you all 3 of you guys are drift compatible, so you guys need to work together." Like, they don't make Jake training these cadets to be the next set of Jaeger pilots the focus of the film. They're there in the background while then there's also this really convoluted story about them replacing the Jaeger program with drones, and obviously the drones get hacked, and all this other convoluted bullshit that happens. And so you have all these competing stories, and what happens in the middle is you have 0 character development. You have 0 characters outside of John Boyega's character you care about, and the only reason why you care about his character, Jake, is because it's John Boyega's character. Like, what they should have done was follow the format of the first film. Kill kill Nate, which is Scott Eastwood's character, because Scott Eastwood's character is fucking pointless. He has the charisma of a wet fucking blanket, and he's just there. Like, literally, they make a joke in this film literally about how he's there because he's good looking and his chiseled chin that he basically got from his father. They make that joke in the film, and it's very fucking true because he's worthless. It's very clear that they have that Amara and Jake are drift compatible, but they don't really focus on that, and that should have been the focus of the film. And so you just get this really, really mess of a fucking film that is a drag. And yeah, there are some cool action scenes, but even the action scenes feel tired. It's like, oh, remember that scene in the first Pacific Rim when Gypsy Danger pulled out a sword and like, oh my god, they got a fucking sword. Well, in this film, they just overdo it because now everybody's got two swords. And how about we put one sword on fire? It's so sequel-itis where it's just like they didn't get what drew in the cult following of the first film, and they decided to double down on the one negative everybody had while letting go everything else. And it's just, I wanted to love this film. I wanted to like it. Like I said, there are moments, and I do think there are going to be people who don't give a fuck about story who are going to watch this film and enjoy it, but it's going to be very forgettable. And I think the first film is better, and which is sad because John Boyega deserves better. Like, he just does. Like, it just, even like Charlie Day is in this film again, and he's Charlie Day, but like, even then at some point he gets tired. Like, it's just, you don't get the moments you got from the first film. It doesn't feel fresh. It just feels like, oh yeah, we're trying to make money this time. And it's just, I don't know, man. It should have been a lot better. I wish it was a lot better. I know Phenom and I will probably go into more details. Like I said, I'm rushing. I'm gonna try to actually get into work in a bit, but yeah, I don't know. This is just, I mean, I will say this, because they have the giant Jaegers and the giant robots. They do look better than the Transformers. I don't know what those monstrosities are that Michael Bay was creating. They do look better, and there is something here. I mean, there is a good movie here. If they had just, let me see who wrote the script. Stephen S. DeKnight did too, and I think he was a showrunner for, I think it was the first season of Daredevil, either the first or second. I think it was the first season of Daredevil. Yeah. I mean, they do weird things like, so I think her name is Adria Arjona or something. I can't. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, but she plays Jules in this film, and she's got this weird. It's this weird thing. So she's obviously a very pretty woman in the film, and you get this weird thing about is she's Nate's girl, and Jake is trying to get with her or whatever. Then at one point in the film, when they're about to go on their last mission, she kisses Nate on the cheek, and then she kisses Jake on the cheek, and John Boyega's character Jake goes, well, that was confusing. And that's literally what I was thinking the entire time, going, what is the purpose of her character? Is she a pilot? Is she not a pilot? What does she do here other than stand there and be the beautiful woman that the two main lead males look at and all go over? Like, she has no actual purpose in this film. Like, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. They have these untrained cadets that literally are green as shit and don't have anything, and then somehow they have to pilot the thing because they lose all their other, like, none of this shit makes any fucking sense when you think about it, and that's just not how a film's supposed to be. Like, I'm sorry, like, what was the runtime on this? This runtime was almost 2 hours. Almost 2 hours of a film. And I don't get it. What was the runtime on the first film? So the runtime on the first film was just over 2 hours. But it still didn't feel like it. This film was actually shorter, and it still felt longer. Because it just wasn't going anywhere. Like, there are literally times you're just like, the acting of the cadets is bad. It's just none of the care that was put in there. Like, they miss Del Toro. They really did. They really miss Guillermo del Toro on this one. So I don't know. Like I said, I think people are gonna go check this out. I think some people are gonna like it. If you go watch this film this weekend, let me know in the comments. I know Phenom, when we left the theater, he was kind of pissed because he was like, this is going to be the film that beats Black Panther, which is 5th weekend in a row, going for his 6th. This is probably going to be the film that beats it because, again, just, at this point, Black Panther is probably going on a track to make like maybe $15-16 million this weekend. I do think Pacific Rim Uprising, because no matter what, and I don't think the reviews are, right now, they're not bad. Now, I know a lot of us are on embargo, for Pacific Rim Uprising until noon today, which is when this video goes live. So I don't know how many reviews are actually up right now on the site, but Rotten Tomatoes has a 64%. And I mean, that's where I put it at. I put it at like a 6.5. I wish I could get it to into the 7 range, which is where I probably would have put Pacific Rim, maybe 7 or 8. But this is like a 6.5, like I said, and it's a 6.5 off the strength of John Boyega. Like about 3/4 of that is John Boyega, and the other quarter is actually being able to see the fights. Because even with the fights, like they I don't know, they just don't feel as epic. And it's kind of funny because at one point, the worst thing that John Boyega does in this film is do the speech. The speech where the cadets go out. And it's a really, really bad, it's like, it's not a bad speech, but it's just like, it doesn't have the feeling of the, we're canceling the apocalypse. It doesn't have that Idris Elba feel. But they later on make a joke about that because when the cadets goes, that was a terrible speech, right? So I kind of feel like they know that some of this stuff just does not live up. And at some points they make fun of that in the film. And I wish they just done that more because some of the stuff is just not as epic as it's supposed to be. It's like, I've never seen, you have a film with giant robots fighting giant monsters and it's not epic. What are you guys doing here? So anyway, folks, I'm going to run. I'm going to try to see if it's snowing yet. So if I have to go to work or if I'm going back to playing Arkham Knight. So again, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit the notify button. Also, if you're a fan of our Arrowverse podcast, Super Tuesday recap, where we cover, Legend of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl. All those are going to our Super Tuesday recap channel. I'll put the link down in the show notes for you guys to subscribe there. We're also gonna be doing our unboxing videos over on that channel as well. We have a lot of I have a lot of ideas for different channels we're gonna do. This is still gonna be one of our main channels. We're gonna put a lot of our movie reviews and rants and things like that on this channel. But I'm trying to find other spaces so that we can give you guys the content that you exactly want on here. So make sure you subscribe to all our channels and hit the notify button, and we will be back soon. So thank you guys very much. Peace.